Welcome to my channel. This is Tricia Carr. This is an excerpt from a class I teach on spell casting. If you would like to learn more, you can actually tune into my podcast, Charmed Life with Tricia Carr, to hear more of this class. And you can find the link to that podcast in the show notes or search for it any way that you get your podcasts. Once again, that is Charmed Life. Or you can join my subscription platform, Modern Mystic Life, for more of this teaching and many more lessons in magic and living the life of a modern mystic. The link to Modern Mystic Life is in the show notes. I hope you enjoy. Welcome everyone to this workshop. I'm very excited to share this information. This class is Magic Spells, how to craft and cast magical spells for manifestation and healing. I think we just need to dig right into it. I have a presentation set, so let me pull that up. This is a feeling process, this class, this workshop. I'm going to be offering you some examples from my own experience, some of my own rituals with magic spells, just as examples. And hopefully when you see those, we want to try to be in our heart. We want to be in our feeling nature. We want to be more induced into the spirit mind, rather than staying too specific in the conscious mind and grasping it in that way, analyzing or being logical. I mean, that's obviously how I talk about a lot of these classes, but especially as I get into the examples, because this is all deeply personal. It is going to be completely unique to you, but I believe you will find a formula, some kind of system that you can feel your way through intuitively, but also have some structure that you can work with. Well, what are magical spells? The ritual of crafting and casting magical spells is a beautifully healing experience. The modern day self-help version of magic spells is affirmations, also a very potent practice. Magical spells is an ancient and ancestral art form. Now I said ancestral because really it's all across all of the cultures, all of our primitive cultures. If we have any of us look at our ancestry, we all started with one mother. We all have the one mother in Africa, and there is the indigeneity of the way that they worked with spirit and magic, spirit and nature in a magical way. The alchemists of old, however, as far back as we can trace and through all of those lines, there is magic. Now, before we move on to even the next slide, let's talk about the spelling of magic with a K at the end. Sometimes I spell it with just the C. The tradition of spelling magic with a K has to do with distinguishing it from stage magic. So it's actually it's a somewhat newer practice. Meaning like it's a few centuries old to spell this kind of magic with a K, as to set it apart from illusionists who were not really doing true magic or alchemy, but they were doing, just tricks in order for entertainment's sake. So that's that. I sometimes still just spell it with a C unless I'm talking about a specific craft, and that's to honor the tradition of that. All right, magical spell crafting requires an exploration and healing of the shadow in order to partner with spirit and nature. It's more than just mere recitation of words. I will also point out that in all of the religions, there are magic spells. They are called prayers. And in some of the religions, the practices can be, or they're called mantras. Some other are called mantras. They're called prayers, mantras, chant. Any way that you would actually use words, whether spoken aloud or spoken in the mind or in the heart, that is a spell. And it's funny, I think there's no coincidence that the way that we write words, we call it spelling. It's definitely no coincidence. There is a reason why those two words are the same, because of the actual speaking something into existence, the manifestation through the expression of the throat chakra. I say the throat chakra because it can be without the voice, although it's very powerful to utilize the voice, because then we activate resonance and we activate the embodiment principle. So in this slide here, we say that we're going to partner with spirit and nature. That basically is magic. Magic is to be able to have, with your mind, with your will, with your heart, with your own energy, to be able to manipulate or transform energy from one phase, one arrangement to another. And since we are here being spirit becoming human, becoming spirit becoming matter, that's the actual energy or the vibration potent, becoming so potent and alchemizing in with itself that it sends out a frequency, a signal, which magnetizes to it the physical elements or the arrangement of energy in a new way. That's magic. So we are partnering with both spirit and nature. Even when we are just working on our own shadow so that we feel better, well, our life starts to change around us in the physical sense as well. When we work with spirit, we work with nature. When we work with nature, we work with spirit. Healing of the shadow, that is essentially being able to move out limiting energy that is taking up the space where our aligned energy would be occupying, so that we could call in the true desire, so we could have our inner vibration be able to show us call into physical transformation that which we are aligned to experience. So what is intuition? Do you think intuition is something that a select few people have? Or do you think intuition is something that is just airy-fairy and not really attainable, not really useful? Well, neither of those are true. The fact is, everyone has intuition. Everyone fundamentally has this drive of intuition. The question is whether it is aligned with the true soul urges and your authenticity, or if it is clouded by either being conditioned to live a different way by some outside authority, some construct that doesn't really align with who you really are, your talents, your dreams, and who you are here to be a blessing. And also, it is not something that is airy-fairy and elusive. It's something that we all just are. The question is, how unblocked is your intuition? Well, there are tried and true tools to help us to live in that intuition frequency, to live a life of ease, joy, and freedom. Yes, intuition is real, and it is possible to fall in love with the process of uncovering your intuition every single day. Easy Intuition and Meditation Coaching is my program to help you to do this, and a way to find your authentic voice from your soul urges. So check out the link in my profile, and I hope to see you there. Magical spells are crafting spells, evokes needs and desires from the deepest realms of the soul. Casting spells programs the mind and body to cooperate with the higher purpose of the one will. Thus, your will becomes one with the will of creation. Creation is waiting for you to make the first move in this process. We are here to create. We are magic because we are both spirit and nature. In this workshop, you will learn a simple formula for crafting and casting magical spells. We will work in what is known as white magic. This means that the highest good for one and all is the guiding intention. So let's talk about that a little bit, because I want to make sure, I like to be in the right space of redemption about where we are in history, as well as being able to claim the wisdom that we have gained from our history. Now, there's nothing wrong with the color black. See, hello, black. It's really just a metaphor. At this point, it's a metaphor to call it white magic. Black is actually the ray, the light spectrum that is associated with the divine feminine. White is associated with the divine masculine. And we actually need both for magic, the masculine and the feminine. And the way that we actually look, what's interesting is that the underlying principle of white magic is actually feminine, that we would work on the vibration in order to magnetize to us that which is aligned. But, that magnetic frequency energy that stems from the building of the vibration is actually then the electric or the masculine. So white is the inclusion of all light. It just so far as light energy is concerned, and black is considered the absence of light. But again, that doesn't mean that, is dark bad? No, we need the dark to go to sleep, or most of us do. And, so it's all relative. So when we say white, it is, first of all, it is an honoring of just kind of how we all can work together. Okay, we know what that means. That means that we're working from the service to others, the good for all, and we're not working in a competitive or separatist mindset. And we're acknowledging that if we did work in a separatist mindset, then there is no good, there is no actual true creation that happens. If we wish harm on another, we are wishing harm on the self, because there's only one energy. And so that's what we're talking about. It's a way to honor the wisdom of our magical history, but we're also thinking of it in an updated way. Lest we think of it in the way when the conscious mind or the ego mind gets a hold of it and says, well, if there's white magic, that means there's dark magic. Well, if there are light workers, that means there are dark workers. And we just get into all kinds of religious dogma that ruins the whole party every time. So that's not what we're referring to, but it's just a simple way to talk about it. And some people, actually, I've heard them talk about like shadow magic in a sense. And I don't know why we need to distinguish it that way, because if we're working in the unity energy, but we're working with the shadow, we're always working with the shadow essentially in order to create something new. We're always growing. So just to acknowledge that, like I said, we actually need both the masculine and the feminine. And we always sort of start with the divine feminine. It starts with the mother, doesn't it? Doesn't life start with the mother? Not without the assistance of the masculine, though.